Hello and welcome. It is here, The Secrets of Magic Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I have been waiting for this book. There needs to be so much more content for 2nd Edition for me to really like everything that's in it. And boy howdy, this delivers. I mean, let's just go to the table of contents right here. Essentials, it's fucking 250 pages. It's 250 pages of just beautiful stuff. Just the first section is 30 pages of basically world building, which is great. I love the world building they've done around the magic system in 2nd edition with these 4 pillars of how magic affects the world: mind, spirit, life, and matter. Love it. That is awesome. I love that each each tradition of magic. Oh god. I love that each tradition of magic has 2 things, and they all fit just perfectly. Spirit and life for divine? Awesome. Life and matter for primal? Perfect. Matter and mind for arcane? Wonderful. Mind and spirit for the occult? Exactly. I love even just this little illustration right here. The stuff in here really delivers on just the glut of stuff that is needed. But it just starts out with a bang with magical backgrounds, which the backgrounds I like and I don't like in 2nd edition, because backgrounds they're pretty simple, you know? You get a boost, one of them is one of 2 things, you get 2 skills, one of them is your lore skill, and you get a skill feat. They're pretty, normal, unless they're rare, which, man, I understand what Pathfinder 2nd edition is trying to do with the uncommon and the rare and everything like that, but in a game I will never disallow rare or uncommon or anything like that. All the power to you if you do, but oh my god, how could you stop somebody from being anti-magical if they want, or the chosen one? Especially in a fucking system where being the chosen one does not mean your fate is told. Because fate is dead. Being the chosen one in a fateless system, that is the coolest. Genie Blast Magical Experiment, that goes right in hand with fucking Flesh Warped if you want more of a concise, everything's contained kind of backstory. Flesh Warped Magical Experiment, there you go. Little bit better, and you don't have to worry about as much extraneous stuff. Your story comes from the story. How about that? But also, Time Traveler. If your story doesn't come from the story, be from a different story. That's awesome. I love the rare magic ones because they're also a little bit, cooler, They make it so you weren't just, yeah, I was a magical merchant and of course I'm good at crafting and mercantile lore and I can appraise things. Of course, yeah, great. I love, sometimes, every so often, playing just a normal-ass character who's done even some magic stuff. Clan Whisperer, Magical Merchant, Magical Misfit, sure. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be playing one of these rare-ass backgrounds with yeah, I don't have a skill feat, but I have Spirit Sense at all times. What? Yeah, absolutely I'm going to do that. Seer of the Dead, that gets into so many cool, Duskwalker or Psychopomp, esque ideas. That's just so cool. Time Traveler, there's so many ways to be a cool time traveler in frickin' Golarion. There's just time dragons that pop countries into existence. Spoilers for some campaign, you don't know. I barely know, I haven't played that one, I've just read the wiki. But rare backgrounds are awesome, I will always welcome more of them. Bend time, look at that. You get a special frickin' ability for bending time. How could you not like that? Touch telepathy is such a cool idea for some characters. You want to play a mute character and you talk to your fucking DM and they're like, being mute's kind of hard, there's not really a way to talk then. You just slap touch telepathy down and guess what? Now I can talk to you. Done. There are some fun characters to be had there. I love it. It's beautiful. Then, oh my god. The classes. Oh. I don't know how I feel about the Summoner, which I'm so sad about. Because Summoner was one of my favorite 1st edition classes. You could do anything with a Summoner. I'm that fucking extra dude who, like, tries to figure out, not like character build necessarily. There was a right way to do the summoner in first edition, sure, but like, I'm just, I love Eidolons. Like, that's what it comes down to. And like, I had some aversions at first to the Unchained Summoner. The like, oh, your creature kind of has to be from somewhere. Like, yeah, sure, but why can't I just pull an abomination from the cosmos? Come on, let me live my life. And you know, they went along with the line of the Unchained Summoner. But I came around to it in the end. It's a better way of doing it, because then you get a little bit. I'm gonna go to the Summoner. I'm on the Summoner chain. I'm going to the Summoner. I'll come back to you, Magus. I got a lot of things to say about you. But I don't know how I feel about how they did the Summoner. I love that you can just manifest it, 3 actions, done and done. Like, that's great. That's fantastic. It makes it so, you're, woken up in the middle of the night and you're not like, I'm a summoner without your Eidolon. Fuck you. I'll just be here for a minute. You guys do whatever. No. It's just a 3-round action. But the amount of things that you just have to be basically the same creature for is scary. I really don't like it. I don't know how it's gonna play out. I haven't played one, of course. This just came out. But action economy was one of the best things that the Summoner had before. They had it probably a little bit too much, because you had 2 full action economies. You could do 2 whole things. If you built a good Eidolon and a good Summoner to work in tandem with one another, that was a big force to be reckoned with, legitimately. But now, let's say you're both running away from something. You now can only run 1/3 or 2/3 as far if you can't get on your Eidolon. Like this, iconic right here, Ija, I think her name was. She could probably get on her dragon. Like, that's great. That's fantastic. And then she could move 3 times, like any other character. That is just one problem I see. Yeah, because this is basically going to be the only action you ever take. Act together. You and your Eidolon act as one. Yeah, see, like, I'm pretty sure I'm reading it right as well. Wait, what? Wait. Either you or your Eidolon takes an action or activity using the same number of actions as act together, and the other takes a single action. Oh, I'm dumb. That is exactly what it was saying. I think? So, if you spent 2 actions to act together, you could cast Burning Hands, and your Eidolon could strike 1 action. Okay, yes. Oh, yes! Yes, okay, so it is exactly like summoning a creature and using a minion. Kind of. It's weirdly said. Let's say you stride once, so you use 1 action. Using Act Together, which you can do once per round, your Eidolon gets 1 action as well, can stride as well. And then you still have 2 actions, of which either of you can use at the same time. You're still only going 2/3 the speed of others to catch up with other people, whatever. That is a very minor thing. But that does mean that you could still play a Lancer. You could still get on your Eidolon's back. It could use 3 actions to, say, move or move and strike, and you would still then have 1 action to attack. That is another thing that I forget a lot of the times. Attacking 3 times is barely a good idea. It, like, almost never is. So, you do share multiple attack penalty, which sucks, but, I mean, if you think about it, like, each of you get 2 actions per round, and you could, of course, play with that, which is fun. But if you think about it like that, I guess it gets a little bit better. Moving. I need to move on. This is gonna take forever. This is already gonna be 2 episodes, by the way. There's too fucking much in this to go over in 1 episode. I probably won't even touch on the spells or the magic items really, because I haven't looked at any of those. I've just been looking at the different magic systems and the classes, and they're so cool. I'm gonna nerd out about the classes this time. I think I'll come back for all the spells and the rest of this book. I hate that the Eidolon can only have 2 items invested. That seems weird to me. Like, it seems like... Oh, start commenting. Start commenting, please. Anyway, feel like you should share an investment pool? Because I feel like they're thinking about the Eidolons as like this dragon who might not speak or anything like that. When I've ever played a summoner, the Eidolon was as much a character I played as the summoner. Like, without a doubt, every time, you know, it was more of a fighter, used items more, and thus the Eidolon had like 9 of the 12 item slots in idea. I never filled them up or anything like that, but like, that was the idea. I gave all my items to the Eidolon. I do like that they have you share some, you know, perception bonuses, armor potency runes or braces of armor, and the weapon runes, essentially. That's great. That I do like that. That is awesome. And of course, items have the Eidolon trait. So, of course, you're kind of already now limited to, well, this was made for an Eidolon build, and this was made for an Eidolon build, rather than, yes, this glut of information that we've just given you for your, you know, fucking magic item needs. You can't use it for your Eidolon. Sad. Another thing that I am fucking terrified of, spell repertoire. This seems dumb? What? The thing about it, you have 5 cantrips. Sure, 5 cantrips is always good. As usual, your spell repertoire is essentially your spell slots. And at 5th level, in addition to adding 2 3rd levels, so we're thinking of this level right here, where it's the first level that you lose spell slots. This is a new thing for half-casters. I'm glad you get 9th level spells. That's fantastic. 9th level spell, that was one problem with half-casters before. It's like, eventually I'll just hit a wall, and I'll get really good spells, and honestly, up to 6th level spells, late game, you had enough class abilities to kind of still make it work. Plenty. But 9th level spells, you know, they're trying to keep the balance in the late game for all of the classes, and I think that's one reason they did it this way. But in addition to adding 2 3rd level spells to your repertoire, you lose your lowest level spell slots. Anytime you lose a level of spell slots, you lose 2 spells in your repertoire as well. At first I thought that was meaning, like, oh, then you'll have like 6 or 8 spells or whatever, and then you'll lose 2, and you'll be at like 6 or you know, whatever, and then you'll, you know, continue at that number. No, it's still just 4. They have it, you know, so you can swap out spells easily. Sure, great. I don't want to swap them out. I want more options. This is essentially like, you have a spell repertoire, you don't have to prepare, that's fine. I would almost rather prepare with this little of spell slots. 4 spells and 4 spell slots will not be enough for like all the buffs that the summoner was good at before. That being said, there are focus spells. This is a focus spell oriented class, and there are link cantrips, focus cantrips, that I need to look at still. And you know what? I'm on page 57. I'm gonna come back to this page. I want to look at the link cantrips, because honestly, I've been reading through this and I didn't even read link cantrip, so I'm gonna go to that. Here we go. Okay, so we got some cantrips. Summoners can gain the following link spells: Boost Eidolon and Reinforce Eidolon. They are link cantrips and don't cost focus points to cast. So you get 5 cantrips and essentially more. So that's cool, because then Boost Eidolon, you can use it. I see what they're kind of trying to do, because I mean, you know, You focus on the bond, it's only verbal, so it's just one action. Your Eidolon gains a +2 status bonus damage, it's unarmed attacks. If your Eidolon strikes, deal more 1 weapon die, increase 2 per weapon die, up to 4. So the idea is, you have boost Eidolon at all times. Of course you'll just take your turn to do that, and then give your Eidolon 3 actions to move up and attack twice. Which, yes, of course, you will do that. You know, and it is cool that even if you wanted to cast a spell and do that, your Eidolon would still get to attack once. So there is some, like, leeway with it, but this almost feels like the cop-out answer of, we want you and your Eidolon to both be important, so we're gonna make you sit on the back line and use 1 cantrip every turn. Cool! But if you're gonna try and make both important, you shouldn't take away basically the whole feature of the summoner, which was spellcasting, you know? The other Link cantrip, though, Reinforce Eidolon, +1 status bonus to AC and saving throws, plus resistance to all damage equal to half the spell's level. Dang, that is awesome. Like, you'll need it, because another thing, you share health pools, good and bad. Interesting, really, honestly, because what happens in an AoE? You take double damage? That is rank. That is bad. Range is also 100 feet, I think, on both of these. Yeah, range is 100 feet. You don't need to be close, which is nice. So there is some good to say about these. Link cantrips, I think, are a good way of doing it. But honestly, it could have just been like abilities. You don't have to make it some like Link cantrip. It's your pool, but it doesn't take anything from it. That's just a cantrip. Just make it an ability, kinda, because it feels weird to have it be tied to this like focus pool without it doing anything. Yo, what the fuck is going on here? Celtiel looks so angry. Yeah, I don't want to do. Oh no! I thought he was crossed and like cross-armed, faced away, and like looking back. No, he's looking towards and probably thinking of some contract or something. He is, I think, lawful evil. I think he worships Asmodeus. I don't remember his story completely, but I do like that they kept Celtiel. He's fun. They need more non-human iconics. I'm glad that most of them are, because eventually you get into a world of humans aren't the major race, and not even that. That's not like good or bad. It's just they always say that, and it's like, if humans are meant to be the foundation, they should be the foundation. They shouldn't, because humans are great adventurers. They're fantastic adventurers, but I have played, I think, 2 or 3 human characters. I love just exotic races. Oh my god. The 3rd level, unlimited signature spells. That, right there, is the reason why I thought it was so weird that you lost spells from your spell repertoire. They don't have to give you a lot of spells. They could even say lose 1 per level, you know? But unlimited signature spells. That means in your spell repertoire, you can just heighten things freely. That is awesome. That is the coolest shit. I don't know, it's just weird to me that you'd have 4 spells in your spell repertoire and then give unlimited signature spells. Like, you really have to love those 4 spells then. Because they're literally all you can cast. What? It feels like the Paladin in 1st edition. The Paladin in 1st edition had spells as an afterthought. Ah, yes, I'm a Paladin with all these feats, and oh yeah, I guess I'll have this spell. Even your 4th level spells did like nothing. It feels like that to me. Why have this awesome summoner, this spellcaster of the plains, who, by the way, could be focused on not the Eidolon, I guess. Probably not anymore, because what are you going to do, summon 4 things throughout a dungeon? No. It's just weird. I'm glad that your Eidolon gets ability boosts as well. I went past it. It's back up here. It says it somewhere. There it is. Your Eidolon also gets 4 ability boosts, great. But at 17th level, it gets an extra one. There's a one little boost. Cool. Glad. Just, 17th level, there you go. Seems a little weird. Though, actually, it isn't a boost. This ability also increases one of the Eidolon's ability scores by 2. The reason it's not a boost is because if we go down to any of them, let's go down to this one, the Angel, they've got good stats. I mean, they've got, that has an 8. That has an 8. What the fuck? Oh shit, some of these do have 8s. I was looking at them earlier, and I was looking down here, I think at the Psychopomps and some of the other stuff, but they didn't... 10, 14, 16... 10. Was I just dumb? Did I just not see the 8? No, see this one. Skirmisher Fae. Okay, they don't all have the same stats. That's super weird. I just didn't look at it correctly, I think. Because I completely spaced the 8. I thought 10 through 18 all evens was 6 of them. Anyway, but then the Skirmisher Fae has 18, 14, 14, 12, 10, 10. So it is more rounded, I guess. Moving on. They've got good stats, and they get the ability scores, and let's say you put all the ability score bonuses you can do into strength. That's fantastic. You now have 22 strength as a regular character. One more boost would make that 23. That ability makes it just 24. But I think I just realized why they did that. They can't use Apex items. The ones that give you like the Ring of Regeneration, I think is one of them. I think that's for con. Gives you plus 2 con. It ups your maximum as well. Or sorry, 5e brains rattling around in there. No, anyway. So it makes up for the Apex item, which is awesome. I'm glad that they have that in there, to make up for it. I'm not really going to touch on this much. It's the types of Eidolons. One thing I'm very happy about: your tradition is based on your Eidolon. That's awesome. Occult, Divine. I'm sure the Dragon is Arcana. Primal for the Beast. That's super cool. I'm very happy that is the way that it works, because otherwise you'd be, I was thinking to myself as I looked through this, honestly, before, because I missed the tradition part. I was thinking, oh, where's the summoner spell list? And then I forgot completely how spell lists work. Oh yeah, look at that. I was right. The Dragon's Arcane. Surprise, surprise. That being said, I feel as though you should be able... you should be allowed to pick Occult for the Dragon tradition, because the Occult Dragons, it's in the name. They're super cool though. I'm so glad that they're doing more with the Psychopomps since Tyrant's Grasp. Super fun. I love the Psychopomps. They're so cool. The Boneyard is such an awesome place. I really would like to do, talking about the rare magical backgrounds, I would love to do a Seer of the Dead Psychopomp Eidolon, based thing. That'd be so cool. I'd love it. One thing that I have noticed with a lot of their character art, actually, is they're kind of keeping the rune idea, which I don't know how I feel. I never dealt with the rune before, You play a summoner, when you summon them in 1st edition, the wordage is, there's a rune that appears on your forehead and its forehead. And it's like, okay. Runes can be cool when they're not, dorkily on your forehead. You can make that really cool. You can do a lot of cool things with that. I do like the way that they have it done here, where it's it's on her hand, and she just kind of has the symbol over her body in multiple places. The last thing I will touch on, and I honestly don't remember what the other iconic was. That's not really important for what I'm about to say. Paizo, you motherfuckers. You make this wonderful iconic. They're short. You might be thinking, oh, Are they like a halfling? Or are they a gnome? You give her a draconic eidolon. And no. This person from the Mwangi Expanse that is young and has dark, curly hair is not a Taralu dwarf. That would have been the coolest thing. Fuck you, Paizo, come on. No, it's just, she's just a young human. Cool, humans are great, but come on. You just put out something. You just put out something that made such a cool society of nomadic dwarves ripe for adventuring that worship dragons. Think about her getting her hair dyed with this like pink look. That would be fantastic. But no, she's a human. How could you, Paizo? I'm so mad I'm moving on from the summoner. Even though the class, while I have my hesitations, does look really cool. You get a lot of health, that's good. Constitution will be one of your highest ability scores because you'll die. Moving on. Back to the Magus. I love it. Legitimately. Because, oh my god. Oh. The reason I love the Magus. This one I read a lot further through. I read a lot more of this one. The reason I love the Magus is because you are not nearly as mad anymore. Multiple ability score deficiency. That's the terminology for those not inducted into the Hall of Pathfinder. You're not as mad. You can just use strength or dex. You don't need both because armor, there's a strength requirement. There's no arcane spell failure or anything like that. Medium armor, sure, but it's way easier to have like a 12 or a 14 in something. You're okay. You don't have to worry about having a terrible AC. You can just use strength, you can just use dex, you can choose. You just need intelligence and con and your stat or whatever. That's great. But the reason I love it, Spell Strike, while you have the same problem, essentially, that the Summoner did, you get a little bit more spells. These asterisks here, we'll get into those. But cantrips are just as good. And from what I was reading about all these different abilities, a lot of them have these special bonuses if your spell that you used is one school or the other, or this or that. But barely any of them had the if it is not a cantrip, you multiply it by the spell level or whatever. Barely any of them had that. And that is the coolest thing to me. Because this is Pathfinder 2nd edition. They saw 5th edition and went, oh, I guess that's good. Cantrips actually do something now. You could have multiple d6 of damage every round added to your one attack. And they work with the action economy so well. Spell Strike needs to be recharged with one action. So it's 2 actions to do a Spell Strike. So then if you're up in melee with something and want to keep it simple, Spell Strike, recharge. Or, here's another thing. You need to move up to somebody and Spell Strike. That's fine. Now you're up with them. Recharge and Spell Strike. Great. You can kind of keep some movement, and that's great. And it's 1 action, or casting a Conflux spell, which generally would take an action, but you actually get some use out of it. And it makes this really close-knit way to work with your focus pool and your spell slots. There's no, like, differential that I feel with a lot of classes, which is like, oh, I can use a spell, or I can use my focus point to do a certain thing. No, they are tied in action economically together in this, because you can Spell Strike, Conflux spell, next turn Spell Strike, move, or move and Spell Strike and continue the flow of combat. And you can do that like turn 1. That's fantastic. Before, the Magus and the War Priest both had this problem where it felt like you were a train, essentially. if you weren't always just like hitting somebody with your spell strike, you were casting a spell on yourself and hitting somebody, and you'd be this like, you'd start at ground level and then you'd work your way up until you were just destroying everything on the battlefield. But that only works for bigger combats, you know? If you're just fighting 1 or 2 creatures, you were kind of just like, I guess I'll just stab them a couple times. But now, there's cantrips. You can do this from turn 1. You don't have to feel like you're wasting your resources, but at the same time, you have resources that you can use. They're a very limited supply. Focus pools, they go up to maximum 3 points, and that takes 2 feats that are generally at low levels. And then you have, you know, your very few spell slots, which, you know, eventually gets up to 6. I'll tell you that there are 2 extra spells in those asterisk places. But it's super cool. Arcane Cascade as well works amazingly with the action economy. You spell strike, you Arcane Cascade, next turn recharge, spell strike again. But now it's stronger, which I love the way that they do it, because there's still a little bit of that train, just a tiny bit of that train, because you have to you have to cast a spell first, you have to, before getting this little bit of extra damage. Which, like, is just funny, honestly. That it's just like, it's so small amount of damage. Well, it starts out as 1. If you have weapon specialization, it's 2. If it's greater, it's 3. By that point, you're getting 8. Yes, 1 damage, 3 damage, 2 damage, they're all great to have, but it's just so funny that it's like this a little bit. One thing I don't like is it is a stance, so you can't multiple stance. It does get into this weird place where you're not really... It kind of breaks a lot of monk aspects that you could, you know, divert into an archetype or something like that. Or, like, the Everstand stance is cool, so you can't make a 2-hand shield using, like, heavy magus without needing to find a way to do the Arcane Cascade. Or that, you know... They make it not important enough that if you don't do it, it's not the end of the world. It's 1, 2, or 3 damage. That could be negative, it could be mental, it could be force, or it could be the same type as your weapon. Alright, you know, it's pretty inconsequential, but it's fun to have. I love the hybrid studies. These are the true, like, building blocks of a class, or an idea. Sparkling Targe. You like being a shield fucking tank? Great for you. Let's put magic as another thing that you can block from. Now, guess what you can be? You can be a magic tank. That's awesome. An Exorbital Iron. You want to be a health tank? Try your best. You still have 8 health per level. You still will have 40 less than your fighter equivalent. But you get temporary hit points equal to half your level, so it's something. And you know, there's feats to make all of these that much better. All of them that much better. But my favorite, the one I will be doing first, is the Twisting Tree. Oh my god. So cool. I have always loved the idea of a Staff Magus. Of course. And you make it so cool, you make it so good. Gains the Agile trait, so you can still use Dex if you want. It's still up to you. Damage dice increases to a d6. Cool. It's now what I would consider the minimum amount of damage without a huge pool of bonus damage dice. But it gets to that point, and while you wield it in both hands, it lengthens, twists, and reshapes, gaining the Parry, Reach, and Trip traits. Reach! That is so cool. You gain Reach with this thing. That means your spell strike has now a reach of 10 feet. That is awesome! That is the coolest thing. Because now, those spells that are, you know, touch spells are now 10 feet, range spells. And I'm gonna go right to it. I'm gonna break the flow of this thing. Twisting Tree, great. You have a reach of 10 feet. Down at, I think, 17th level it was? Basically one of the last feats you'll ever get. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't one of the last things. It wasn't. 10th. Feat level 10th. It's not even one of the last things you'll ever get. Lunging Spell Strike. So dope. So cool. Your spell unwinds the structure of your staff to make it exceptionally long, or even separate into shards held together by magical power. Make a spell strike with a staff, with a spell that isn't a cantrip or focus spell. So it's sadly one of the few things that say this, or without a cantrip, but increase the staff's reach by 5 feet times the spell level. You do get up to 9th level spells, not by this point of course, but that is a reach. Increase the staff's reach. It already has reach. It already has a reach of 10 feet. Upgrade it by 45. That is 55 feet of reach. That is so cool. And, oh no, I thought there was a fucking thing that you could do to put two together. That's a 2-action activity, which is so cool. I thought you could combine it with this one. It's still cool. Whirlwind spell is the thing I was talking about. It's a 3-action activity. You combine the might of a multi-target spell, such as like Fireball, I think. You use Spell Strike, making a melee strike against each enemy within your reach, instead of against one. So, 3-action activity. Say you have a reach of 10 feet. Everybody within 10 feet you want to hit. You can try. The spell can affect multiple targets. Your spell affects all foes you hit, not just the first target, up to the spell's normal maximum targets. That kind of reads to me like Scorching Ray is the idea, not Fireball, because Fireball doesn't have targets, but Scorching Ray does. And you get multiple of them. I love this too. Each attack counts towards your multiple attack penalty, but doesn't increase your penalty until you've made all your attacks. It's, like, I get it. It's 3 actions. You could have, you could be quickened or have one of your extra things that gives it so you can, you can't have both of these, but Supreme Spell Strike. You're permanently quickened. You can use this for extra action for strikers to recharge your spell strike. So say you had a 4th action to attack, you would for sure be at a -10. Because if you're using this ability, there's probably at least 2 people. It's just funny. But it does actually, 1, just let you attack everybody within reach. It's just Whirlwind, and you can still spell strike with it. And you can use it cantrip, too. To just, hit one person, and then keep hitting the others with just, regular-ass attacks. Oh wait, if you use Expansive Spell Strike to spell strike with an area spell, apply the area as described in Expansive Spell, choosing one of the creatures you strike to determine the area and whether the spell fails due to the critically failed strike. So you can use area spells. Sad that the whole thing doesn't work that I wanted it to, because I wanted you to be able to expand your reach to 55 feet and then whirlwind strike everybody in a 55-foot radius from you. That is so cool. And I wasn't thinking about using an area spell, which it sounds like you actually could, but not within 45 feet. Sadly. But, I don't know. Maybe there's some way to mix them together. I'll look into it at some point. Because a Staff Magus that just whips out a freaking, a huge area of effect spell and just whaps everybody to death around them, that is the coolest thing. Let's go through their class abilities and shit like that. I haven't really looked at any of their conflict spells. They're probably cool. You get them from your thing. Shielding Strike, Thunderous Strike, they sound great. Dimensional Assault I did actually look at. What you do, it's one action, I think it's verbal, you move to somewhere, teleport there, and then you can strike once. That's cool, Studio Spell is the thing I was talking about, those asterisks. It's a really funny way that they do this because, I love what they're doing, but why they're doing it, it's more of an I get what they're doing, but did they have to do it? At 2nd level, Studio Spell slots, which can be used to prepare Spider Climb, True Strike, Water Breathing, and one additional spell from your hybrid study. Let's say, Twisting Tree, Magic Mouth. So you gain 2 spell slots that can be used for any of those 4 spells? 4 spells. Why those ones? Okay. So I'll be spider climbing and true striking everything. And breathing water. And using Magic Mouth. Super weird. Then at 11th level, they increase to 3rd. to keep up with the progression, essentially. And you add haste as an additional spell, depending on your hybrid study. So slow would be Twisting Tree. Those are both great spells. Why? I get haste, because everyone's going to use haste, but couldn't it seems weird that now every Magus, when they hit 7th level, canon, in universe, all Maguses of 7th level know Spider Climb, True Strike, Water Breathing, and 1 additional spell of those 5 types. All of them. All of them do that. 11th level? Same. You just add haste and slow, but one of these 5. And then the same with 13th level, which, by the way, is super funny that they have it level up that quickly. It's 7th, and then 11th, and 13th. And it just, gets to 4th level so quickly there. 4th level, add Fly. Of course, it's one of the most used spells in the game. Fly, But now, every Magus knows how to do that. Let's say you're playing somebody who's afraid of heights and never wants to fly. For some reason, they learned Fly. They're a studious person, and they were required to learn Fly. That's weird to me, I love that they did it. But I don't like that it has to be done. It has to be done. Fly, haste, spider climb, water breathing. Those spells are, pivotal. Especially to a martial fighter. Because you need to get to your enemy. You have, generally, a sword. You need to get to the person to hit them with a sword. Of course, the range, which you can just be a ranged spell striker now. That is the coolest thing. The ranged person doesn't have to deal with that. So it makes even less sense for them to know spider climb and water breathing and all that. But it's still good to have them. So I'm glad that everybody gets them, but why does everybody get them? Even if you don't, say you don't like water. Are you really going to study water breathing? I guess you are. The rest of their classes, as usual, just kind of the more of the same, up to double spell strike, which is a fun way of doing it. 19th level, might as well get a little bit more out of your spell slots. You can just use a spell for a spell strike twice. That's fantastic, That's a great way to do it. Oh, I didn't look at Arcane Fist, actually. This is one that I was unsure about. It doesn't look too bad. Even the monk, they just get a different specialization they just get a different training, essentially. Proficiency bonus with their fists. Anybody can use them. You get a damage bonus. You can do lethal damage with them. They gain the arcane trait, making them magical. That's fun. Even when you're not using a spell strike. Dope, I guess. Raise a Tome. What do I have to say about Raise a Tome? What? That is both really cool. I'm glad that they did it because there's magic to it. You raise up your spell book and it goes doom. The problem with it is it's a shield. It can now be broken. It can be broken easily. Hardness of 3, HP of 12, and a break threshold of 6. That's pretty easily broken. It's not great, So if you're going for the Targe or whatever, the shield-based Magus, that might be okay. But it also might not. What happens if your spellbook breaks? And it is just, you're holding a book. I do like that it's just a book. It can be any book. You just got journals, honestly. But at that point, just have a shield. Just have 2 shields in case your first one breaks. That's just funny to me. And then I haven't looked at a whole lot of these different feats. I did look at Strike a Scroll. Super fun. Good use of scrolls. You can use a scroll, affix it to your weapon. There it is. You can use it as a spell strike. Great. Okay, there's 2 feats here that I actually want to talk about. I'll read through Shielded Tome, but I'm going to talk about Student of the Staff first. This is so cool. This makes the Staff Magus for me. That is it. That is the thing. That is the reason to have a staff. Because you can just put a load of property runes into your spellbook, and then when you prepare a staff, you can impart the property runes onto it, up to the staff's weapon potency run. But that means when you prepare, just in the day, if you want a holy flaming staff one day and an unholy frost weapon the next, you can just do that. You can just be ready for any situation that you run into, so long as you've put all of the runes in your book, which is even cooler. It's like filling out a passport with all of the different stamps. Like, oh yeah, look, I got holy and unholy. You can just do so much with that, you know? You can just be ready for any situation, and you get to have a little, like, stamp collect fun along the way. That's great. Now, Shielded Tome. Fuse a shield into your favorite book. It appears as a bookmark, and here we go. While the two are fused, the book shares its hardness, hit points, and broken threshold of the shield, and it can be used to shield lock as if you have the reaction with the requirement you have raised the tome. Oh, you can shape the book into a shield form. Okay. Why? Okay, I see. I see what's going on. You take a shield item that you've gotten, you put it in your book, and now you can make it into book form, which you can raise the tome and read the book. Cool, I guess, whether that be one thing or the other. And when it's in shield form, you can raise the shield, activate it, if it were a magic item, I assume, and gain any other benefits of the effects the shield normally has, such as a Spellguard's shield bonus to saving throws against magic. So, you put them together, and you can put it into these different forms, and at that point, you're just using a shield. I don't know why necessarily you have to put it into a book. I know you get a +1 to recall knowledge, identify creatures using a skill related to the book. That's cool. But at the same time, you could just have the book. It's a very niche thing that I'm glad is in there, but I don't fully get it. Either way, those are the classes. Oh my god. I love them. I love these two classes. I have hesitations for both of them, of course. I've told you all of my hesitations with the Summoner, but I have less hesitations about the Magus. The Magus just looks like a solid, action economy efficient, cool spellcaster, arcane paladin style class. I love the look of it. It's just a little bit more magical than the paladin is divine, which is exactly how I usually think about these things. I love it. I love the Magus. I cannot wait to make a staff Magus. I'm curious how the Summoner is gonna go, because I'm worried about it. I'm very worried about it. It's close to my heart. I would love to do also a Sarkoris Summoner, because it's even a personal god. That's like their bread and butter. Oh, fighting the Sarkoris Scar, trying to get your land back to how good it was before. Ooh! But that point aside, these are the classes in the new Secrets of Magic. Thank you for nerding out with me. There will be a part 2 coming next week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.